Hey, it's Allie and Pat with Seattle Coffee here, and Pepper, who's probably going to join us for very long.
Hi, Pepper.
But today we're actually doing a roast of the month video
Hmm.
featuring Colombia El Progreso from Brandywine.
Yeah.
One of our favorite roasters, I'd probably say, at Seattle Coffee
Yeah, we try not to play too many favorites, but at the same time, we do really love Brandywine.
Day. Our own roast, like our
Yep.
Seattle Coffee roast that I adore. All right,
Yep.
bye. So, um, they always just like they're fun to work with and all that too. So
Yeah,
that's what.
they're an example of there's other roasters that do this too, but they're an example of like they really embrace sort of the whole practice from the way that they talk about their roasts on their website and to people, and the way that they do such great art on their bags, and then like they go out of their way to come up with really eye catching and interesting tasting notes that are
That's true.
accurate to like they're accurate to what you're tasting, but they go beyond the. So many roasters just like cherries, chocolate,
Right, lemon.
pear. Yeah. And so it's cool that Brandywine takes it a little further and tries to come up with some like interesting ones. For example, like in this roast, they have they list notes of brown sugar, apple, blackberry tart, and slight ginger, which
Hmm.
was I always like it because tasting their coffees because tasting notes are always interpretive, right?
Yeah,
And so it's not necessarily saying that like there's no chocolate flavor in this coffee, but they just interpreted it in a way that is interesting and kind of makes you think a lot while you drink it, and I like that.
that's true. And like the first thing I thought too, the when I made this was it's been a while since I've had a coffee that has like a sparkling acidity, and I
Hmm.
don't know if you've ever. Yeah, okay, cool.
For sure.
Like for those who don't know, like a sparkling acidity is kind of like when you drink a coffee and it's almost like a sensation across your tongue. Um, a little tart, but not quite. It's kind of hard to explain unless you're like actually sipping the
It's
coffee.
almost like a sip of like what of like tonic water or something like that.
Yeah.
It kind of, and in fact, like one of the ways that it's interesting. I don't know if I would say I love it, but there's a way you can drink cold brew. If you mix cold brew with tonic water, it's like a recipe you can get some places, and it's interesting, and it kind of amplifies those flavors. But I really like it when you get it in a coffee without adding anything to it. It's really delicious, and I think that's kind of what the ginger note here
Exactly.
is
Yeah,
kind of
that's
getting at. Yeah,
because it is a very gingery experience. Like the same way that ginger kind of makes your mouth feel a little like that's a little bit more spicy than I feel like this comes across. Like it's not as gingery, but I do love that they chose that word because it puts a very clear picture in your mouth.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think there's sometimes there's a fear. Obviously, some people for different reasons can't deal with anything that's higher acid,
True.
which understandable. And I don't think this is high acid either. What I would say is when you see things like that and hear things like that, sometimes I get a response of like, oh, so it's a very acidic coffee, so I shouldn't drink it. And it's like, no, no, no. It's just the way that the acids in the coffee manifest. It's not
Yeah.
any more acidic than any other coffee. You just,
Mhm.
it's the way that you taste them. And that's sort of what we mean when we talk about bright acidity and sparkling acidity and stuff like that. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. And then like some of the other notes like brown sugar, apple, blackberry tart. I don't know, it's kind of like the first cup I made um it tasted I don't know, that sparkling acidity was like one of the like punchier notes that I experienced, but
totally.
like I think that blackberry tart comes out in like a rich I don't know, how do you explain
To
it? Like
me,
a
I kind of get the blackberry tart in sort of the middle of the palate as like it's like the brown sugar is sort of the note that ties things together a little bit in terms of flavor, but then that blackberry tart is kind of in the middle and in the middle of the sip. Like I see what you're saying, where it's like it's kind of across, and then I get the apple more on like the tip of the tongue. Um, it's kind of hard to describe, but I definitely think that the blackberry tart is sort of more of a like it
like
comes.
a
It's like built on top of the brown sugar, kind of.
yeah. And like just like brown sugar is really subtle and sweet. Like this has like a subtle sweetness to it as well, which I enjoy. My coffee's almost already gone, and I just made it, so that just to show you how delicious it is.
Yeah, it's the right amount of tartness, I think, and a good mix of that and sweet to just be pretty inviting and not. Sometimes you get like coffees that are very sweet or very tart that are more challenging. They're still good, but they're not. It's not as easy to drink. Whereas this one, I think, kind of the flavors balance each other out without it being a super balanced coffee either, which is interesting, I think.
That's true. How are you drinking yours this morning?
I made mine in a V60.
Oh,
I had been doing drip for a while, but I switched back to V60 because I get. It's funny because I do pour over for a little bit, and then I think, man, drip is so much easier to do. And then I do drip for a little bit, and it's like, because of the way that my kitchen is organized, it's like, actually, pour over is way easier to do because I can do it anywhere. And so I'm sure in another week I'll be back to using my drip brewer again.
I rotate through my coffee stuff too. Like right now, I actually have my espresso machine put away, and I'm like focusing on pour over and manual methods. So I just bought a grinder that I won't give away, but I bought a grinder, so I'm using that to,
Nice.
try out different coffee stuff and everything like that. So that's been fun. Um,
Admittedly, we've had an influx of coffees to taste too, which means that it's easier to just leave my grinder on the setting I use for pour over,
right. Yeah,
because that's how we taste them anyway. So yeah,
totally.
yeah.
Did you experience any differences in the flavor notes whenever you're brewing it in drip versus pourable?
It's a little bit more. This one I actually initially tasted in a drip brewer just because I had it on my desk and was not working and wanted some coffee, so I was like, oh, I'll just try that as a drip and then try as a pour over to officially evaluate it later. And I definitely you get more of the brown sugar and the coffee just in general is a little bit more balanced when you do it as a drip.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The ginger note's still present. It's not quite as prevalent as when you do it as a pour over, but it's still there for sure. So if you want to see what that tastes like and all you have is a drip brewer, I would say it's still worth checking it out because you'll get that out of it for sure.
I'm curious too. I think it would be an interesting espresso. You might struggle with the acidity a little bit on this coffee, but I think
Yeah, I think if you brewed it just right, you would probably have to play with like pre-infusion times and really dial it to like you may need to go. I don't know. You would know better than me. My thinking is you might need to go a little longer on it than you would normally think. So like potentially even like in the 30 to 35-second range instead of the 20 to 30, because the extra extraction time is going to balance that ginger note a little bit. I think without that, it might come off as pretty strong in a straight espresso.
yeah, if you have pre-infusion, I think this is a great coffee to try that out on.
Yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So it's pretty good. It's not gonna be around forever. So make sure you check it out. At least take a look at the bag art. Yeah, go go look at the bag art because it's really really cool.
Yeah,
Um,
with a
yeah.
little work. All of their art is so
It's
fun.
so good, but I don't. I love the cat, the cat on the book.
It's like
I don't understand it, but it's adorable. So
Sleepy Cat.
yeah, I am into it.
Cool.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment below. We'll see you next time.
yeah. We'll see you soon. Thanks.